In Venezuela, there's a tense wait for the results of a presidential election dominated by the economic crisis. Supporters of the veteran leader Nicolás Maduro, who is seeking a third term, have faced off against the opposition camp. Its challenger Edmundo González Urrutia is hoping to overturn 25 years of one-party socialist rule in Venezuela. The opposition fear there could be procedural abuses, and some voters have demanded access to polling stations to monitor the counting process. Journalist Mena joins us from Caracas. Mary, thank you for being here. Lots of anticipation around this election. Are there any preliminary results yet?
No, not yet. We are still waiting to learn from the electoral board in Venezuela. There's a tradition in the country that the results are delivered early, later in the night, or maybe in the next day that the election took place. The best word to describe right now Venezuela is expectation, because we don't have official information. It is expected a press conference from authorities from the electoral board, but there's still no any specific time set for that information to be delivered. The opposition right now is denouncing that they need they need access to more information, to the data of the election, especially the participation in the counting vote.
Well, we're also hearing reports of clashes between supporters of Maduro and supporters of González. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, once the situation, all the polling stations began to close, there were some clashes between government supporters and opposition supporters. The reality is that there's a tense environment here in the country, waiting to know if Nicolás Maduro will be in his third term, 6 years next term, or if the opposition can conquer a transition of power. That means opposition supporters are fighting to create a new transition in the country, but the government is saying right now that they have the vote. The situation right now is that they both claim they have the necessary votes to be in power, but we are waiting, as I said, to learn about the information, official information provided by the Electoral Council. There's tension. The clashes that took place a few hours ago were isolated. They are not like generalized across the country.
Okay. And the opposition has also been fearful of potential fraud. Is there any evidence to support that?
Well, the opposition, even after the election started, even before today, they started to denounce that the process is not fair, especially because the main opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, is not on the ballot. They said the irregularities began before election day. And right now, at this moment, they are denouncing that and asking their supporters to stay at the polling stations to witness the counting vote. According to the Venezuelan law, all Venezuelans that are willing to witness that process, they need to approach to the polling stations, and if the authorities allow them, they could witness that process. But for now, the opposition says that they are not having that kind of access, the necessary access to the data that they need to prove that the election is, that they count with the votes. For now, what they want is for the people, and they asking their supporters to stay at the polling stations.
Thank you so much for that. That's journalist Mena. We're joined now by DW correspondent Oscar Schlenker in Caracas. Hi, Oscar. Thanks for being here. The polling stations have closed. Any early predictions yet?
Well, polling stations have started to close. Those that are still with voters in line will remain open. Early predictions are tricky. We have seen many independent exit polls that give the opposition candidate a big lead, And we have seen others giving Maduro the lead. What the opposition is telling their witnesses in each polling station is to remain there until they receive the physical printout of the results from each machine. With this information in hand, they can corroborate what the Electoral Council announces. So these are crucial hours for this election.
And what about the turnout? How much enthusiasm have Venezuelans shown in these elections?
Well, enthusiasm has been at a record high, I must say. All of the different information I've received put participation levels above 50% a few hours before the polls closed. So it's not the final number, but it's still very high considering 4.5 million people that have left Venezuela could not vote abroad. Well, we saw people spontaneously holding vigils outside polling centers since last night, eager to vote. And that is something I've never seen before.
Now, the opposition is fearful of potential fraud. Is there any evidence to support that?
Yes, there are still many fears of fraud. This election has been possible after negotiations, international pressure, and the opposition's perseverance. During the campaign, opposition was faced with several obstacles, persecution, arrests, and there is a long list of events that NGOs have gathered regarding different ways that political rights have been under attack during these months. Even today, we have seen many accusations of evidence of assisted voting, polling stations that would not open or allow the opposition's witnesses to enter. The opposition's campaign managers haven't been allowed in the Electoral Council yet, which worries many people. There have also been many reports of national electoral observers that could not enter polling stations, that were threatened by government supporters. But after all the violations people witnessed during the campaign, all the irregularities we have seen today were more or less expected. And that is why many people held vigils outside polling stations since last night, and why they are holding vigils now until they receive those printouts out of each machine. So the night is still young, and the Electoral Council has the last word before the opposition can confirm. But people are hopeful that the outcome is so massive, it will be hard to manipulate.
Venezuela has been in an economic crisis for years now, so could the results of this election possibly change that?
Well, many economists think it will. In the first place, change would bring about a lifting of the economic sanctions. But besides that, many investors know the potential Venezuela has, especially in energy industry. And the only thing holding them back is the political and social stability that has been in crisis for decades.
That's DW's Oscar Schlenker in Caracas. Thank you so much.